Good day, good day, good day. It is K and K Raw and Real coming at you in strong. And boy, do we have a great one today.
We do, and it is how many teachers of God are needed to save the world.
How many for the 7 billion? Now, let's remember there is people who say that there's an agenda, which I've seen, um, say they want to reduce that. I don't buy into that at all. And the reason why is because we got this and we're flipping the script. So
We
let's
are,
begin.
heck yes, we are. Okay, so the answer to this question is one.
Woo. Well, that's
One,
good.
uh-huh. One holy, perfect teacher whose learning is complete suffices. This one, sanctified and redeemed, becomes the self who is the Son of God. He who was always Holy Spirit, holy, WHOLLY, now no longer sees himself as a body or even as in a body. Therefore,
Hmm.
he is limitless. And being limitless, his thoughts are joined with God's forever and ever. His perception of himself is based upon God's judgment, not his own. Thus does he share God's will and bring his thoughts to still deluded minds. He is forever one because he is a God. He is as God created him. He has accepted Christ and he is saved.
Okay, well, there's the reason why it's only one. And so, and just in pausing for a moment, I mean, to get to that state of mind is a lot of unprogramming, a lot of cleaning, a lot of forgiving, a lot of grace and
Mhm.
all of that. So that's why there's one. And so to reach that level, you're talking Buddha, Jesus, and stuff like that. I mean,
Mhm.
you know, to reach that level. So I would say as many as possible who are obtained to reach that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So I'm curious what they're going to say, what's going to be revealed as we finish this chapter. Let's see what it says. Thus does the Son of Man become the Son of God. It is not really a change, it is a change of mind. Nothing external alters, but everything internal now reflects only the love of God. God can no longer be feared, for the mind sees no cause for punishment. God's teachers appear to be many, for that is what is the world's need. Yet being joined in on one purpose.
Hey, can we pause?
Yeah,
For the mind sees no cause for
right.
punishment. And so I think that it's important to point out right there that we punish ourselves.
Yes.
We are the slave master to our own life. And we punish ourselves when we have limiting thoughts and doubts and sadness and all of that. And I know you're like, well, how can you avoid being sad? Well, I mean, you can feel it and let it go
Yeah,
quicker.
exactly. And
And
if deny the feelings, like feeling of anger, the feeling of sadness, of being hurt, whatever might be coming up for you, it just piles up and piles up and piles up. And then we start suffering. And then we see that and it's reflected back to us in all the areas and places where we're living in our life. And we can't we aren't free to be in joy and be in happiness because we have this altered mind based on the things from the outside.
that would be serving a false god, wouldn't it, when we
Right.
are thinking all those thoughts? Just a thought.
It sure would. God's teachers appear to be many, for that is what is the world's need. Yet being joined in on one purpose, am I on the wrong paragraph?
No, you're on the right one.
Yet being joined in one purpose and one they share with God, how could they be separate from each other? What does it matter if they can, what does it matter if they then appear in many forms? Their minds are one, their joining is complete, and God works through them now as one, for that is what they are.
So that tells me, okay, so you've got one
Hmm.
aspect because we all are
Right?
from one source.
Yes.
And so you've got one who's like, I've obtained this greatness.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. Um, and then, so in order now, now that you've obtained it, you can have like just like a CEO or president of a company or
Yes.
the mom of a home, you delegate stuff
Yes.
out. And so like, oh, you can reach people in this way and you can reach them in this way, whether it's health and eating right, whether it's your mindset. I mean, all of it's required, but maybe your focus right now is on health, or maybe your focus is on this, or maybe it's the holistic, like, let's do it all at once package.
Right. And so I think this is why it's important to clear your own pathways so that you are free to help pass on your gifts to other people. So, because we can't keep what we don't have, and we can't get what we don't have. So we have to, and the only way to have that is the deep work inside of us and connecting in a spiritual level. Why is the illusion of many necessarily? Only because reality is not understandable to the deluded. Only very few can hear God's voice at all, and even they cannot communicate his messages directly through the spirit which gave them. They need a medium through which communication becomes possible to those who do not realize they are spirit. A body they can see, a voice they understand and listen to, without the fear that truth would encounter in them. Do not forget that truth can come only where it is welcomed, without fear. So do God's teachers need a body? For their unity could not be recognized directly.
So do not forget that truth, because I'm all about truth, can come only where it is welcome without fear.
Right.
Because so I heard something I think yesterday, and it was like, okay, it's real simple on fear. Fear is 100% faith. Faith in evil or faith in good. Which one do you pick? And we are trained and conditioned to pick evil and to bow down to evil because we do not have the confidence in the good. And if people are like, well, I haven't seen it, it's because you're worshiping, you're bowing down to doubt, to limitations, to I do it. So I'm not
Yes.
like saying like
Right. Yeah, to whatever our weakness is at the time. And if my fear of like my fear of so like I'm in Tennessee right now, and so we're in the mountains, and my fear of heights is preventing me from driving to the top of a mountain to see a beautiful view because I'm afraid. Like, but is there anything really to be afraid of? What is there to fear? Like, I'm in a safe car, four wheels on the ground, gravity exists, like it's irrational. So am I going to put my faith in my ability? Um, or rather my cousin's ability because she's a better driver. Or the fear that fear doesn't exist. It really doesn't exist. So I get to decide where I'm going to, like you said, put my faith. And when we put,
yeah. So you driving up a mountain today?
I don't know what we're going to do, but
I really
hopefully,
think you need to drive up the mountain and conquer it.
no, I know, I know I've conquered little ones and I've gotten there, but not the big,
I
big.
mean, come on. That's not even that big. Once you get up there, you're going to be like, oh my God, it's so
I
silly.
know.
We always think that, right?
Yeah,
I
because once you
mean,
to the other side of it, it was like that wasn't even that big of a deal. Why was I so worried about it?
because we make up a whole story. We make up stories. Everybody's like, well, we do. We make up all these stories. My dog is like itching and
We do make up a lot of stories. We certainly do. And then we
we're
we
yeah.
live in that delusion and illusion, which we've talked about before, because that's my fear. And there's probably some like what is it in your life, my life, that I've missed out on because of fear? Like that's one right now in my face, but there's lots of other fears that I've had that have caused me to miss out on things.
Hey, could you take a moment and visualize the best possible outcome when you get to the top of the mountain? I've been to the top of a mountain and they said, oh, don't run. So, of course, I ran. And my kids wanted to go, it was Pikes Peak. And
Oh,
my kids wanted to run out to the thing. It was really hot down below and it was freezing. It was like 17 degrees when we got up there. So I ran to the sign, took their picture, and almost passed out. But we had a great time. My kids were able to help me, and that made them feel good. Oh, mom, let us help you and everything.
yeah,
Um,
right.
and then we got like candy or something, hot chocolate at the top, and then took the train back down. We had an absolute memorable day. And because of that, worst case scenario, I got dizzy and my kids were able to help me out. So it turned out to be a positive. So can you imagine the best possible outcome? Because anytime we're facing fear, when I would face fear, because I'm standing up to some big bullies in the perceived world, right? As a whistleblower. And I would perceive like, what are they going to do? Fire me? And I don't buy into that whole like, oh, they're going to come and try to kill me or anything. That's a bunch of shit. That's a bunch of BS. It is complete and utter BS because I invoke laws of nature, nature's God, superior law, and I revoke evil and evildoers. And so all that is you thinking about the mountain. That's
Mhm.
an evildoer. Just be like, I do not like you, little evildoer.
Yes, there it goes. Think. Think it's
And
gone.
now I'm heading up the mountain. And how
Right.
symbolic is that for everything that's going on in your life?
Exactly. I know.
You got to
I
go to the mountain.
gotta go to the mountain.
And I
Yeah.
want a picture.
Well, it might not happen this weekend because it's the Smoky Mountains and there's a lot of people here on the weekend. So we'll get there. We'll
I
get
think
there.
you should go. And then we can put it on this podcast like I can do the picture for it. And
Mhm.
of you standing on the mountain.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
All right, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Yet, what makes God's teachers is their recognition of the proper purpose of the body. As they advance in their profession, they become more and more certain that the body's function is but to let God's voice speak through it to human ears. And these ears will carry to the mind of the hearer messages that are not of this world, and the mind will understand because of their source. From this understanding will come the recognition in this new teacher of God of what the body's purpose really is, the only use there really is for it. This lesson is enough to let the thought of unity come in, and what is one is recognized as one. The teachers of God appear to share the illusion of separation, but because of what they use the body for, they do not believe in the illusion despite appearances.
Okay, there was something I wanted to go. Okay, so when we hear things, so like I do automatic writing, I don't hear things. I just go into a flow and start writing. Some people hear things, but we don't always know if they're good or true. So, I mean, just like, so what I do is I ask for the highest vibration or something like that. And I do revoke any evil and evildoers. I love saying that. It's like such a, like, makes my heart warm. Um, so if people are like, oh, that's, because there's the dogma, right, from religion about all that. And um, you're talking about it's here. People are doing it on both sides.
Yep.
So it's your intuition. When you learn like the heart focus breathing that I do, it helps you kick in your intuition. And when I do that, I'm like, why don't I do it more, first of all? And it's just you get such clarity.
Right. Well, we forget. We almost need to put reminders like either on our phone or someplace to help us remember what it is that we're doing until we get into the habit of it and then it becomes part of your life and then you just don't even think about it anymore. It's just something that you do because it's who you are now. It's your value. And so you don't have to think about it anymore. Um it just this whole
Like
thing reminded me of
Russian.
yeah, brushing teeth. That's exactly what I was going to say. A friend of mine used to tell me when my kids were little that God couldn't be here in skin. So therefore, Christy, you need to be the mom God needs you to be because God can't be here in skin. So you're God in skin form for my children. And I think that it's the same thing now. Like we are God in skin form, not the God, but we are part of one. And if you're part of something, you can't not be a part of it. You can be in denial that you're not part of it, but that doesn't mean that it's true. It's another illusion.
Absolutely.
It's separate. It's the illusions are what keeps us separate and keeps us sick in the sense that not sick with the flu, although you could have physical symptoms, but sick in the sense that we become so centered on self and what's good for me and not anybody else that it starts deteriorating the roots and the roots get sick and then the tree starts dying and we see the leaves fall off. Um, and it's not a seasonal change. It's really the death of the tree because the roots get sick.
Yes. And did you know? I mean, I've saved plants that were dead
Mm-hmm. Come back to life.
completely.
That happens. I believe it. I that does not surprise me in the least.
But
Nothing.
and so with that, I just want to say there, just like like I have a tree out here and it's got a couple dead branches. So I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to have it trimmed or something, or you have a bush in your yard, you get a rose bush often has things you have to pluck off the dead that's not serving you anymore. It's very symbolic to whether it's friends or family or ideas or situations, we have to pluck it, cut it. Don't get all freaking emotional and like have breakdowns. Just
Yes.
like it's time to go get the gloves on and
Yeah, and just take care of it.
Hurting.
It isn't anything that needs to be judged. Just like if there's rotten tomatoes, I don't sit and I've got fresh tomatoes. I don't sit and go, oh my gosh, these rotten tomatoes. I feel so sad getting rid of them. No, you're grateful to be rid of them so that there's more room for the new growth, the new tomatoes. And we all know that like if there's something rotting, it breeds and spreads to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And so this is another reason why we want to be rid of that within ourselves. I mean, yes, it's easy to point out everybody else's faults, but who the heck am I to decide what's faulty in them? Maybe that's part of their lesson in their journey, and they're about ready to flip into something new, and maybe I'm part of their life to help them heal that. And it's it's becomes then the collective, and we create good vibration and energy, which then is like a snowball to other people, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Exactly. And so we need to pitch the rotten tomato in our
That's
life.
right. Yes. And whatever that is in your life.
Whatever that is, whether it's a doubt, a false belief, a fear of a mountain, um, we need to just hit it straight on, pitch it, put it in the trash can, and move forward.
Yeah, it's our
And
attachment.
celebrate the good. I mean, it's like you said, I mean, think of all the tomatoes. They must be eaten. They're on a time thing, you know? I mean, for
Right.
they're
Yes.
not-
Yes. Celebrate the good. I mean, who would want to live a life if you were only constantly in weird worry or fear? Like, what's the point then of existence?
well, and if you're going to concentrate on the rotten tomato and not the five or more abundantly good tomatoes, then you're spending energy on something that's already just move on. Just
Right. What? And I think the thing
slice
that
the other tomatoes and put some salt and
yes,
pepper on
enjoy them.
them.
Make a BLT, damn it. But here's the thing is that we have to examine and not get stuck examining it because I can get up in my head way too much what my attachment is to the stuff that's rotten.
Yes.
We have an attachment to it. What is my attachment to it? Well, how is that serving me? Which goes back to that's how I stay sick, that's how I suffer, judgment, blah, 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 all the things we've already talked about.
But Christy,
Right.
this person really hurt me.
Yeah, I know they did.
They were really mean. And I want to hold on to that and let my whole life concentrate on that rotten tomato of a person.
You're right. And you know what? You are right. But since you don't like them and how badly they hurt you, why is it then that you're letting them control you?
I'm going to get a piece of paper. Every
Yeah.
time you think about something, just flick it off your shoulder.
And that is exactly a tool. And that's the thing that pisses me off or caused me to want to take action is like that person who I can't stand, who did me wrong, by continuing to stay angry at them is giving them more power. It's like, I'm not giving that person any more freaking power over my life. I'm not doing that.
Oh, you know what? That ties in to something I was doing last night. We give our power to government servants. The government is a servant. There's no way to slice and dice that. It's true. And so yet we're like, oh, I have to go before a judge. A judge is a servant.
That's
And
true.
when we know how to sign documents and do other things, we can have them work for us.
Right.
And that's when we turn over our power. We're saying, oh, mother, may I do this to our servants when we should be saying, yo,
Right.
clean up your shit, go after these companies, clean it all up, or step down and let someone else do your job because you're sucking.
Exactly. Like there's
You're a
whatever
rotten tomato.
right. There's so many pillars of where we are serving different masters and that can be on a personal level, it can be at the big macro level, and we get to decide who are you going to serve? Who are you going to serve? All right, let's go on. It says the central lesson is always this.
Okay.
The central lesson is always this, that what you use the body for, it will become to you. Use it. Oh my gosh, we did not read ahead. Use it for sin or for attack, which is the same as sin, and you will see it as sinful. Because it is sinful, it is weak, and being weak, it suffers and it dies. Use it to bring the word of God to those who have it not, and the body becomes holy. Because it is holy, it cannot be sick, nor can it die. When its usefulness is done, it is laid by, and that is all. The mind makes this decision, as it makes all decisions that are responsible for the body's condition. Yet the teacher of God does not make this decision alone. To do that would be to give the body another purpose from the one that keeps it holy. God's voice will tell him when he has fulfilled his role, just as it tells him what his function is. He does not suffer either in going or remaining. Sickness is now impossible to him.
Mm. So the mind makes the decision, and as it makes all decisions, just like the Rotten Tomato.
Yes, it does. We get to decide. And do we get to be here overnight? We're only limited by how we choose to be limited. Like, I can't because somebody told me I can't, so therefore it's not going to happen. It goes back to that you can't run a mile in under 4 minutes, and then somebody, whoever that was, broke that record, and then now everybody, or not everybody, but it's just become a known fact that you can.
If you want, you can break that.
Correct.
And it's proven. It was proven right away, like 5 times. Boom, boom, boom. And so whatever that obstacle in your life is that you think, oh, this is impossible, I can guarantee you someone else has done it
Yes.
successfully. Just
And,
like
and if
making
nobody
money.
has, but even if nobody has, why, if it's calling to you, maybe you're the one that's going to break that new barrier and be free of it. Why? I think that, like, for me, I get, oh, I'm successful, I'm successful, I'm successful. Oh, here's the better example. Okay, here. I don't know how to swim. Like, I know, look at me. Like, I total country girl, did not grow up and we were poor. I don't know how to swim. However, I know the mechanics of it. I did have 1 year of swimming lessons, so I know how to float. I'm not afraid of the water. I love the water, blah, blah, blah. And so I kind of know how to swim. My kids know how to swim. And we were at the pool this summer, and I was showing my daughter, who's 24, like I was swimming. And she's like, Mom, you know how to swim? She was like, you were swimming. Why did you stop? Oh, that's swimming? And so the fact is that I do know how to oh, I'm swimming. Like, why did I stop?
Because your story was, I can't swim. So therefore, even when you can and the evidence is there, you're still thinking, I'm still married to this old belief, and belief has lie in the middle of it. It's a lie. And so that's a perfect example of how we stay with an identity that is no longer serving us and that is truly false.
Exactly. So I'm like, I can't swim. What am I doing swimming? I don't know how to swim. So I stopped swimming.
That's a beautiful example. Thank you.
You're welcome. Exactly. Let's keep going.
Right. What's point out?
Oneness and sickness
Swim
cannot
away.
coexist. Oh my gosh. Oneness and sickness cannot exist. Cannot coexist. Oneness and sickness cannot coexist.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
We're on the last one.
Oneness and sickness cannot coexist. So the people who are sick need the collaboration of everyone around them. Like when your doctor says, when my doctor, we're going to go to a softer note here than something serious. When my doctor said that I couldn't walk, I would never be able to run.
Mm-hmm.
And then his staff said that. And then my PT people said, oh yeah, you're probably never going to be able to run. It's like, I'm going to prove you all wrong. And how dare you tell me what I can and cannot do?
Right.
No, because I'm a little bit ornery.
Just a little.
And so the thing is that to buy into sickness, you need other people to sit there and feel sorry for you. And then that gives you attention and that gives you energy, and then you can suck in their energy.
What's my attachment? What am I getting from being sick? I am getting something from being sick and holding on to this idea, this belief. What is it? How is it serving me?
Well, sometimes you can control the people around you because they feel sorry for you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And I get a lot of attention. And why should I have to dig into my own self and my own power when I have other people to do it for me? Something to think about. Everybody's got to decide for themselves. And I know that that's hard to decide, hard to accept, because nobody wants to believe that they're choosing to be sick.
I'll choose oneness.
God's teachers choose to look on dreams a while. God's teachers choose to look on dreams a while. It is a conscious choice, for they have learned that all choices are made consciously with full awareness of their consequences. The dream says otherwise, but who would put his faith in dreams once they are recognized for what they are? Awareness of dreaming is the real function of God's teachers. They watch the dream figures go and come and go, shift and change, suffer and die. Yet they are not deceived by what they see. They recognize that to behold a dream figure as sick and separate is no more real than to regard it as healthy and beautiful. Ooh, interesting. Unity alone
Yeah.
is not a of dreams, and it is this God's teachers acknowledge as behind the dream, beyond all seeming and yet surely theirs.
And that's so symbolic of everything that's going on today because I don't watch television. I call it television. I say that in my book, and now other people are starting to use it. And and that's great because people are starting to use television. And it's a vision that we buy into. It's a vision of ourselves, like we were talking about. But like once you like, just like in The Wizard of Oz, once you pull back that veil, you're like,
Yes.
wait a minute, it's not this big thing over here. It's this little thing over here. And then it goes into the next stage where the good godmother says, my dear, you had the power all along. So I could have gone home. I didn't have to go through all this shit. I could have just taken the shortcut and gone home. But I wouldn't have had all that experience and I wouldn't have met all those people. Although she didn't meet them because the scarecrow and the lion and the tin man were the people at home. She just got to see them differently.
Yes. I abstain at my cousin's, and this I think is an appropriate story. So she's like, you make yourself at home. I've never been here before, right? And so I get up, I love coffee. And so I'm like, okay, I'm the first one up. I'm gonna make coffee. It's single serve coffee. Here's the coffee pot. And so I'm like, okay, there's got to be coffee somewhere, right? So I'm looking in the cupboards. I have looked everywhere. Okay, where else could it be? The pantry. I looked in the hall, looked under the sink. I looked in the fridge. I looked in the freezer. And I'm like, I guess there's no coffee. I'll be okay with the fact that there's no coffee. Well, then I turned on the light. Right next to the coffee pot is a canister, and it's black, and it's glass, and it's got a silver lid. I'm like, I wonder if the coffee might be in the canister next to the coffee pot. So I open it up, and yeah, there's the coffee in the canister next to the coffee pot. And here I am trying to not see what's in front of me, how it is, because I'm expecting it to be in a different container. I thought it was going to be in a container that said coffee and it was going to be in a cupboard because that's how I do it at my house. So why wouldn't everybody do it that way? No. So I had a preconceived idea and I was ready to just say, nope, I'm just not going to get coffee today. Oh, and here was the other thing. I opened up a cupboard door and she's got grocery list or whatever. And on it, it said coffee. So I'm like, she must need coffee. We're going to go to the store. So I guess we'll get coffee at the store. But there was still coffee there. There was still coffee there. And in my mind, I would have just not had the coffee because I insisted it had to be in a different container in every spot but where it was.
That is a perfect story because we often don't see what's right in front of us. Literally, it's right there. And I mean, that's a great example. I will tell my kids, go get the ketchup. And they're like, we're out of ketchup. And I'm like, no, it's on the top shelf. And they're like, no, it's not. And I'm like, okay, move the milk.
Yes, right.
And he's like, how'd you know where the milk was? And I'm like,
I know. I know. And that's exactly it. Like, I just never would have expected because I don't put my coffee in another container. Like, it just doesn't comes in the container, it comes in, and I leave it in there. Like, I just think it's a waste of energy to put it in another container when I'm going to consume it. So, but that doesn't mean everybody lives that way. And it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Like, there's more than one way to be free.
well, and we don't know until we see like people who
Right.
I think I've used that example before. I want to tell this about China. Um, so there's a rainbow going through you, and I don't think that's just by, coincidence. It's really beautiful, and at least on my screen, there's like
Oh,
rainbows all
through
around
me?
you. Uh-huh.
From me? Oh,
Right now on my screen, there's
I didn't
like
touch
lots of yeah, it's really cool. Green and purple, which are my favorite,
it.
are really showing up. So I wanted to say that. But like, so there's people in China, and I know we're going to wrap this up, but there's people in China who don't realize the power that they have because there's so many of them and they're living on the streets, and then they don't know that they could have a bathroom and they don't know how to have a home. There's people who live in different places in the world and they don't know the conveniences that we have that we take so for granted. But if they just had a book, if they just had a way to see it, their whole world would change. And so I'm going from there because it doesn't matter where you are today, there's a whole world out there to see differently.
Right.
Just like when I do that example, and I'm like, when you look at something with one side, you see that, but if you see it like that, it's a completely different, like, describe it. You're going to
Right.
describe it completely differently, you
Yes.
know? So that was a perfect how because you perceived that it shouldn't be in a container next to the car.
So therefore it wasn't. It didn't exist there because I couldn't see it there. Like it just never connected. So
That was
what's
a
our
great story.
what's our attachments? What are our attachments?
What are your attachments? And today, someone's going to climb a mountain.
We'll see if it's today. Stay tuned.
Hang on.